Do you find yourself feeling lethargic or excessively tired all the time? Or you find that you often have a mental fog or are just not able to think straight, even though you had enough sleep? If this is the case, then you need to watch this video because you might be suffering from lack of vitamin B12. After all, about 40% of the global population suffers from some form of vitamin B12 deficiency. For vegetarians, vegans, and elderly, this deficiency rate can be as high as 80%. Hi guys, this is Anmol from Be Green Monkey, bringing you weekly health and fitness advice for our vegetarian and vegan family out there. Remember to subscribe and follow our channels to keep getting weekly content like this. In this short video, we are discussing basics of B12, an essential B vitamin. We will cut through a lot of misinformation out there to talk about what it is, what it does, why you need it, how to get it, and how much should you be consuming. With that, let's get started. What is it? Vitamin B12 or cobalamin is a water-soluble essential vitamin. It is extracted from food by stomach acids and absorbed in the intestines. What it does and why you need it. The primary function of B12 is to help create hemoglobin in your red blood cells. Hemoglobin carries oxygen from our lungs to the rest of our body and carries back carbon dioxide back to the lungs so it can be exhaled out. Lack of vitamin B12 can lead to B12 deficiency anemia, which is a condition where not enough red blood cells are being produced and can cause shortness of breath, pale skin, numbness in your hands, poor balance, and confusion. Low levels of folate, which is vitamin B9, coupled with low B12 levels, are linked with depression. How is that? Well, our body creates an enzyme from B12 which reacts with homocysteine present in our body to create an amino acid called methionine. Methionine plays an important role in a lot of bodily functions. Ideally, this equation should be balanced. Now, if you don't have sufficient B12 in your body, then you're not able to use up all of this homocysteine. This excess homocysteine can result in increased hostility and anger, which in turn can result in depression. Higher homocysteine concentrations are also linked with increased risk of vascular or heart diseases. Finally, vitamin B12 is also required in myelin production. Myelin is the outer covering of your nerve cells, as you can see right here. Think of it like an insulation around your nerve cells, which ensures efficient transfer of information or electrical signals through them. A healthy myelin sheath is essential for motor functions like walking, sensory functions like heat or cold, and cognitive abilities like memory retention and recall. To produce sufficient myelin and have healthy cognitive function, you need vitamin B12. How to get it? Seeing how important B12 is, now let's understand how do we get it. It is naturally only produced in certain bacteria and archaea which are found in meat products. But being vegetarians or vegans, we don't eat meat, so we need to consume either B12 fortified foods or supplements. These supplements are typically a synthetic form of B12 called cyanocobalamin, and this synthetic B12 supplement is much easier for your body to absorb. This is because extraction of natural B12 from meat or other food sources is heavily dependent on stomach acidity. Stomach acidity needs to be in a pH range of 1 to 3, which a lot of us are not frequently able to maintain, especially if you are consuming antacids or are getting old. There are other things like intrinsic factor which also dictate the absorption effectiveness of B12 in your intestines, but we will cover this in a future video. But overall, for low doses of vitamin B12, you get approximately 50% absorption, part of which is utilized by the body and rest is stored in the liver for future use. Even though this vitamin is water soluble, it can be stored in the liver for about 2 to 5 years, and it will deplete gradually. To maintain healthy B12 levels, supplementation is recommended for not just vegetarians and vegans, but also for most omnivores. How much should our daily intake be? US and Canadian institutes recommend a daily intake of 2.4 micrograms, while European Union recommends 4 micrograms per day. B12 is safe to consume in higher doses and does not have an established upper limit, so I would recommend aiming to hit at least 4 micrograms per day. To maintain optimal B12 levels, you have two options. You can either consume daily supplements which contain 10 to 20 micrograms of B12 to ensure that sufficient amount gets absorbed, Or you can consult with a doctor who can prescribe you to get a blood test. If a very low B12 level is detected, the doctor might put you on a higher dose of as much as 2,500 to 5,000 micrograms of B12 per day for a short term, or give you weekly B12 injections for a short term to raise B12 levels in your liver such that you're good for a few years. This would especially be recommended for people who are already suffering from low B12 absorption rate, which would typically be people over the age of 50. But once again, please consult your doctor if you are in this group. As a footnote, if you're a smoker, please stop smoking. But if you can't or are unwilling to, then you might want to be cautious about long-term supplementation of B vitamins. One recent study has linked long-term intake of B6 and B12 supplements to increased risk of cancer in male smokers, possibly by potentiating carcinogenesis in precancerous cells in response to carcinogens in cigarette smoke. So if you fall in this group, talk to your doctor before taking any B vitamins. But for non-smoking adults, taking B12 supplementation would not cause any harm, and our bodies will just excrete out the excess. To sum up, for all non-smokers out there, make sure you're taking your B12 supplements whether or not you consume meat products. Alternatively, get regular blood tests done to ensure that you have sufficient amount in your body.
Thank you for watching, and please give this video a like. If you find this video informative, or if you have any questions, let us know in the comment down below. Getting feedback in the form of comments encourages us to keep going and also helps to rank our video higher in YouTube and Facebook algorithm. And so it gets found by more people. If you have vegetarian, vegan, or elderly family members and friends, please also share this with them. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss our weekly content. Hope you enjoyed this one. See you next time. Ciao!